There is a lot of cash on the sidelines, and liquidity often drives markets. Because I'm at my core a lender, a credit guy, a green eye shade guy, I joke that I've correctly forecast 17 of the last three declines. The consequence of that is I don't listen to myself too much anymore. I have also learned on the other side that if you buy the market, uh, buy a sector, you go broke.
In a recent conversation, seasoned investor Rick Rule shares insights on market dynamics. He highlights the significance of cash reserves and liquidity in driving markets while advocating for a cautious approach. Rule emphasizes the importance of fundamental analysis and individual company values over broad market speculation. Expressing concerns over market valuations and the potential for recession, he underscores the need for informed investment decisions. Rule's preference for a concentrated portfolio, notably Berkshire Hathaway, reflects his trust in Warren Buffett's expertise. He advises mitigating downside risk while accepting moderated upside potential.
Because it's too broad for you to understand. If you buy individual companies using fundamental analysis and you buy people based on their values and their work ethics, you do well. So it sounds like I'm avoiding the question, but the truth is I'm discounting my ability to answer the question. There are plenty of things about the market in the near term that scare me because I scare easily. I'm a lender. I don't understand some of the valuations, even despite the growth. I am nervous about a recession. There are companies that do well in sectors that I don't understand, and I don't allow myself to do things that I don't understand. Looking at the other side of the equation, the longest unbroken bull market in history is the ascent of humankind. There have been some pretty ugly punctuations, things like World War II. But I suspect that one must be a long-term optimist while maintaining enough concern and enough cash, frankly, that you can weather periodic events, which is what I try to do. I think if you have a 20-year horizon, you can do it. I think if you have a 5-year horizon, it's very difficult. When I look at the S&P 500, what it really is an S&P 10. The concentration in the S&P 500 is so geared to world-dominating technology companies, and my own lack of knowledge around their technology pipeline is so profound that I don't have the courage personally to buy the S&P 500. In 1982, recognizing my own shortcomings as a general market securities analyst, what I decided to do was make most of my general market securities portfolio consist of one stock, Berkshire Hathaway. The idea that I or many other people that I knew could outthink Warren Buffett was very low. And the fact that Warren Buffett was able to structure Berkshire Hathaway as an insurance company rather than as a closed-end fund, which meant that he could deduct anticipated policy loss expenses against current income, meant that I had the best stock picker in the world, and I paid an effective tax rate of 11%. That type of analysis is very different than got a hunch, bet a bunch. But it worked for me. There are years when the broad market did better than I did, but it did it with extraordinary risk. And I've decided that you can take away part of my upside if you take away most of my downside, which is why I did Berkshire Hathaway and why I don't do the S&P 500. The S&P 500 as a bet on the ascent of humankind isn't a bad bet, but it's a bet where I don't think that the information is disseminated well enough, which is to say there's a whole bunch of people out there who know more about Microsoft and Apple and Amazon than I do, and I don't want to compete against them.
In his follow-up, Rick Rule sheds light on reasons for market optimism. He highlights technological advancements, notably in data analysis, and the significant time saved for investors. Rule also applauds global poverty reduction efforts, foreseeing its potential eradication within 2 decades. Moreover, he underscores the importance of market liquidity. However, he expresses concerns about escalating global debt levels, particularly in the United States, where off-balance sheet liabilities surpass a staggering $150 trillion against a $2 trillion annual deficit. Rule's analysis urges caution amidst the growing role of government intervention and mounting debt burdens.
Let's start with the optimism first. Technology. The ascent of humankind is sort of approaching warp speed. The ability, as an example, and I'm not going to give you all the arm-waving stuff about AI, but the idea that with the increase of computer power, that you can analyze really vast amounts of data and look for coincident anomalies means that securities analysts like me, who used to have to spend 50 or 60 hours a quarter doing very broad stock screens themselves, can now go to Bloomberg, and Bloomberg will scan the whole universe of publicly quoted markets worldwide and give me the screen in 90 seconds. Bloomberg, for $2,000 a month, saves me 20 hours a month, which is astonishing. And the ascent of humankind is really being fueled by technology. And the benefits of this advance in technology are cumulative and compounding. For all the faults I find in American culture, as an example, it's still a place where a group of youngsters can take over a garage in Sunnyvale, California, and out pops Google or out pops Apple. The second thing that makes me bullish is advances at the bottom of the pyramid. We have done a wonderful job in the last 40 years of moving 1.5 billion people out of dire poverty to the point where they're just poor. Does more need to be done? Absolutely. But what we've done is spectacular. And I think that we will eliminate dire poverty within 20 years. This isn't just good from a philosophical perspective. It's good because the inclusion of 1 billion people into the marketplace makes everyone who cares to become richer, and also exposes us to the talents of 1 billion people that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to contribute. This parenthetical garage in Sunnyvale, California, then, might actually pop up in Lagos or Jakarta or Sao Paulo. Thinking about the young people that I mentor through Students for Liberty, now 160,000 of them worldwide, if you visit with these young people, it's very difficult to be a pessimist. The third thing is simply that there's so much liquidity. Now, let's look at the downsides. Liquidity is different than solvency. On a global basis, our societies as collectives owe too much. And the real test will be, will our individual genius and tenacity overcome our collective stupidity? In just the United States, we owe $34 billion on balance sheet at the federal level before state and local debt. But more importantly, through things like Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, federal government pensions, military pensions, the net present value of our off-balance sheet liabilities, entitlements, exceeds 120 billion. Oh, I'm sorry, trillion. I got the wrong starting point. $1 trillion. So collectively in the United States, before individual, corporate, state, and local debt, we owe $150 trillion. And we're trying to service this with a budget that's in deficit $2 trillion a year. That's ugly math. And our faith in government, our faith in collective coercion is increasing rather than decreasing. That bothers me a lot.
Thanks for joining us today as we explored Rick Rule's insights on market dynamics. Rule emphasizes the importance of liquidity and a cautious investing approach, favoring individual companies over broad market speculation. He remains cautiously optimistic about technological advancements and poverty reduction efforts, but expresses concerns about rising debt levels, particularly in the United States. Today's discussion underscores the need for a balanced outlook in navigating the economic landscape. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful discussions like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and happy investing.